Okay, how's she leading? Alright, get rolling.
Chaps are still a bit damp, so I think I'll wait. Hopefully they won't get splashed all the way.
They won't get splashed this morning, I shouldn't think. Hopefully.
Yeah, because if you put the thing on and it's damp, then it'll go moldy maybe.
Yeah. And it's now 9 o'clock on Saturday, the 1st of July. Anchor was up at 0618, and we're now doing 1550 RPM and 8.2, 8.3 knots, heading to Grand Cayman. 11:30, July the 1st. Flat calm out here, but there is a rain storm over there. We'll see what happens. So we're just getting the cover on the dinghy. All that rainstorm appears.
I just went to close all the hatches because we are entering a squall, and we had a sun from 5 knots to 25 knots of wind, and I can't stand out because the rain is stinging too much. So now that the sun has set, I need to dim the brightness on all the screens. So I'll just turn all of these screens down a bit so that they don't blind you at night. And I need to change the brightness on here. Done. And then we just hang a cloth over these two lights so that we can still see them, but they're not very bright in your face. And I need to find a cloth for this.
It's 0400 on Sunday morning, about 2 hours from turning the corner in the Yucatan Peninsula and heading to Grand Cayman.
Sunrise in the Yucatan Channel, 24 hours at sea, 25 hours, 24 and a half hours at sea. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling a little tired. But I just had a little doze for 2 hours. But yeah, it's 24 hours since we left. We were just discussing that we went through here on December the 12th last year. No, 13th on your birthday.
That's right.
December the 13th. We have just altered course for a direct course to Grand Cayman, Georgetown. 256 miles to go. We've been making great speed, and we've had pretty good weather up to now. Hey, babe?
Yeah, it's been perfect. No problems. Oh, we had a few squalls last night. Wind, rain. I had to run around and close hatches. Then you run around and open them again, and then you run around and close them again.
You had some dolphins, eh?
Yeah, all of a sudden, like 10 minutes ago, I saw a few jumping on their way over. And when I went to the bow, there was at least 15 of them. They're much smaller than the ones we saw yesterday, but they were fun nonetheless. So I did film them. They'll be in an upcoming video.
They'll be in an upcoming video, will they?
There'll be upcoming videos.
Well, so far so good. I haven't done a full weather check today, but I'm seeing that maybe 3 to 4 foot seas on the nose a bit later. Hopefully it won't be too bad, and there'll be a reasonable period. Shortly after the live broadcast, the winds picked up and the waves, and for the whole next 24 hours on the way to Grand Cayman, we had the waves and swell and wind on the nose, and we took a fair bit of spray with a little bit of pounding. This is the approach to Georgetown Government Dock,
We are approaching.
where we will do our customs and immigration. We have to go in behind that freighter.
Need to go and dock there, and there's rocks here. Okay, you're fine. You're all good this side.
Having safely arrived in Grand Cayman, we did a live YouTube broadcast of the journey. We last spoke to you live as we just rounded the western edge of Cuba. Following talking to you, things were fine for about 6 hours, and then it got a little bumpy. It got a little bumpy. So we had about 24 hours of oh, thank you. Really enjoyed our video yesterday. Yes, we put up a live video, by the way. Are you dragging any fishing lures? Haha. Yes, we used to drag lures all the time, mostly for mahi-mahi. But since we got ciguatera, we didn't drag lures at all on the journey down here. Hopefully, maybe one day we'll start dragging lures again. Could you show some pictures of yourselves as kids growing up in Zimbabwe? We'll have to dig them out. That would be fun.
Yeah, we do have a couple.
We do have a couple, but not of us together.
Okay, so now back to...
Go on then.
Yes, a few hours after our last broadcast, the weather didn't take a dive, but the anticipated winds picked up, and obviously with the winds, so did the seas, and we ended up with 24 hours of 5-foot seas on the nose. They were quite long periods, so we weren't slamming very often. We did slam sometimes. So it was quite uncomfortable, and of course I became seasick, which doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, it was 4 to 5 foot, pretty much on the nose. We were pushing it. We were running at 1600 RPM, and I wasn't slowing down because I wanted to time my arrival for Monday into Cayman, and I wanted to get cleared in and then come around the island to the marina. And I didn't know how long that was all going to take, so we didn't really slow down much. With the result that we were pushing through the weather. We did have a couple of slams that were a bit juddering, and I had to put headliners back up when we arrived. But that's why you have a Nordhavn. That's why you have a Nordhavn 62.
We didn't break any glasses.
We didn't break anything, actually. One of the things about the 62 versus a lot of the other boats is that the aft pilot house makes it a much more comfortable ride when you're pitching forwards. And of course, the bulbous bow helps with that too. That said, the whole journey was 482 miles from Dry Tortugas to Georgetown. During that 482 miles, we consumed 402 gallons of diesel on the main engine, and that's 7.3 gallons an hour. That's 8.76 knots. So we were pushing it when we came through, and we were running at around 1600 RPM average. So that was pretty good. And I'm pretty pleased. We arrived in Georgetown around 1:30 in the afternoon, only to find that it was a holiday. We'd talked to our friends on the island. In fact, we talked to two of them, Captain Nat of In-Depth Water Sports and the Karmitzers, our friends, and neither of them had told us that it was a holiday.
And we purposely kind of decided to not arrive on Sunday because, customs, you have to pay extra for them to come out and clear you in, only to be told by them on Monday that it's a holiday and we need to pay.
So then they told us it was $70 to check in, which was not a big deal, but it just wasn't in the plan.
Oh no, but it did mean we were the only people to be checked in, so it was chop.
So that was quite quick. But that's 70 CI, which actually ended up, I see they charge us $92 for the check-in. So check-in, we talked to Port Security on channel 16. They switched us to channel 14. And then I had to back in past a big freighter. It was weird. But anyway, we backed in there. Then after we had checked out, that took an hour, we left Georgetown and we came around the island. Yeah?
Yeah, into the North Sound.
So the North Sound, which is obviously on the northern side of Grand Cayman, is a little bit like sailing in the Bahamas. It's a bit hit and miss with shallow water, and it's quite skinny for a Nordhavn, and it's quite skinny for a 7-foot boat like we are, or 6'8". Yes, draft. So it's relatively shallow. Fortunately, a friend of mine, Nat Robb from In-Depth Water Sports, shot out on his El Puma dive boat and played pilot by guiding us. Now we had previously laid off a course inside the North Sound that Nordhavn N68 migration had followed. Nat, in the meantime, had found a much more direct route for us to follow. And given that he's been here for many years, we trusted him and blindly followed him.
Plowed a new channel
from the main entrance of the North Sound directly here to Governor's Harbor. And yeah, we kicked up a bit of mud and we furrowed a new path. And as Nat says, if you look at some of the satellite pictures of the North Sound, you can see lines where people have furrowed the way here. all things being equal, we tied up and everything was great. And now we've been here for 4 nights. And, well, what did we do when we first got here, love?
We slept. No, well,
Yeah.
Nat and Nicola came on board and said hello. We hadn't seen them for a few years. And then later, our friends, the Karmitzes, they just did a drive-by in their boat. I think they were coming back from fishing for the afternoon. And then we slept.
Yeah, but the next day.
And then Monday, we had to get up and wash this boat. It was so full of salt. Everything you touched, just you came your hands full of salt. Every time you brushed your legs on something, it covered in salt. So now we had to start washing the boat. It's hot and steamy outside. And we were out there for over 3 hours washing the boat. But she looks beautiful now.
She looks lovely. Yeah.
Frank had to go around and do the hull in the dinghy. But for the rest of it, the top sides, it was easier.
Yeah, we launched the dinghy and then we used it to clean the hulls, the side of the boat. And yeah. And then we also used the dinghy to do a little bit of exploring, and then we rowed over to Nat's house to get some cameras.
We had 2 new engine room cameras installed the day before we left. In fact, we delayed our departure from West Palm waiting for these cameras. And on the way over, the one camera started flickering, and eventually it flickered its last flick and then died. So we tried to figure out if it's the wiring between the camera and the display. And eventually Nat came over and he said, "No, I've got a spare camera I can lend you just to test." Anyway, it turned out that it's the camera, so because the new one he gave us works. So we dinghied over to his house, which is 10 minutes away, and picked up the camera.
And
Frank installed it, and it works. But we're still having a new camera sent over from Ocean Currents Marine.
Yeah, well, obviously it's under warranty, etc., etc.
And it's an HD camera, which I don't think the lone one is.
I'm not sure, but anyway, let's answer some questions. You guys are living the dream. Can we get a 360 view of outside, please? Yeah, give us a second and I'll do that. We're using the laptop at the moment. I might do a mobile view tomorrow or the day after. So just an easy way to clean the bottom. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. That's what I thought when we came through Rio Dulce.
Yeah, at Livingston.
What will be for lunch? Do you cook alone or go to a restaurant?
We may mainly eat on board. So I just open my little treasure trove freezer and pull something out and cook on board. We still have some fresh vegetables that we brought over, so we kind of need to eat those before we end up throwing them away.
Yeah, we try not to eat in restaurants all the time.
Yeah, it gets expensive.
Gets expensive,
especially in Cayman.
How do you like your new Starlink? It's been fantastic the whole way. I will say that it suffers from the other things that Starlink's rain fade, heavy rain, but that's normal, especially on a Ka band service. Although it's Ku band from the antenna up to the satellite, and it's only Ka band from the satellite down to the land earth station on the Starlink service. What else? I did find that when we were pitching quite a lot on the journey from Western Cuba to Grand Cayman, that the Starlink was a little more intermittent.
The Starlink is at the very top of the mast, and it's angled at 8 degrees.
Yeah.
So obviously when you're pitching, your 8 degrees changes quite a lot. So it struggled to keep up.
When you're using phased array, it's slightly different to having a motorized antenna anyway. I'm not even sure a motorized antenna could have kept up with the some of that pitching. How long do you plan to stay in CI?
Well, that depends on the weather. We need kind of a 4-day window to get from here to Panama, and it's looking like the 14th. But, forecasts that far out are not to be trusted. So, I mean, we could end up waiting in worse places.
Yeah, we could. We have a nice spot here right now. I mean, it's quiet. There's a couple of restaurants nearby. We need to do some shopping, but friends of ours have got cars and friends of ours have got boats. And they've offered to run us around. So we may rent a car for a few days, but I think we'll be here at least for another week. I'm watching the weather every day. But I do need, as Leslie says, we do need 4 days. I'd like 4 days, 3 days anyway. It's 650 miles, give or take. I'm sort of playing around with the route, but we just got to be cognizant of the trades at this time of year. You guys, can we do a 360 view? Yeah, it's kind of hard right now, right? We're inside. Yeah. So what you see out there is what's Governor's Harbor. Some nice fancy houses over there. And then forward over here, excuse the bouncing around. Over here is just one of the boats that takes people out to Stingray Alley for the Stingray City. I mean, not alley, for the cruise ships. And then if you come around onto the starboard side, we're really looking here at the that's just the car park, and then the other side of Cayman Islands Yacht Club. So that's pretty much what it looks like around here. Yeah. Any more questions?
Let's see.
Love it. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Barry Holidays wondering if they would make a gyro stabilizer for Starlink. What's your area of expertise?
No, I don't think so. I think the whole purpose of Starlink and the new phased array antennas is to get away from any sort of stabilization and use a flat panel. That's been the whole purpose of the design, that they've been going away from using domes and tracking antennas. Whether they would go to gyro stabilization, that just adds a whole new element of cost to trying to stabilize that flat panel. Hope your travels are going good. Morning, Alexander. Yeah, they're going well. We're happy to have a few days off. On your overall fuel consumption, does your numbers include the generator? No, the numbers I've shown you are purely main engine. Mainly because I don't have, the only way I can do the generator as well is to also track the fuel being consumed out of the tank, and when we're underway, it's a bit harder to do that. And also the fact is that the generator only ran for about half of the voyage. I'll do a closer look later to have a look. The main exercise that I'm doing at the moment is to look at consumption at different speeds or different power settings to try and compare it to what other N62s with similar engines, and also what the book Voyaging Under Power has to say about the Nordhavn 62.
Okay. I just crossed from Fort Lauderdale to Venice, Italy, with no Starlink interruption. 12 people on board, consuming 1 terabyte per week on a 5 terabyte plan. That's pretty good.
5 terabyte plan, and that's the big. Yeah, we're on the 1 terabyte plan at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah, we're on 1 terabyte.
Yeah. Thanks. I would be very interested in that. Very interested in what? The generator.
Yeah.
Okay, Big Dave, we'll take another look at that. But the generator is not very thirsty. I reckon a gallon an hour maybe, but we'll take another look at it. And I'll take a closer look. I'm in the middle of doing calculations to decide whether I want to take on fuel here. It's considerably more expensive than I was paying in Florida. But we have more than enough fuel to actually go from here to Panama and back to Panama and back. So 2 round trips. We have enough fuel to do 2 round trips to Panama at the moment on board.
So Joe is asking, what is your biggest regret? I can't see the one word. Other than waiting to do it. Regret your lifestyle other than waiting to do it.
What's our biggest regret?
That I get seasick.
Yeah, maybe waiting to do it. I wish I was a little bit younger when I started, but it is you take it when you can, and you don't have any regrets. I've done lots of crazy, silly things, and if I spent my time regretting, I would probably shoot myself. Sometimes I wonder if we would be better off with a sailboat, but then I think of pulling sails down and pulling sails up again, and I think, forget it.
Going up the mast.
Going up the mast, and I have zero interest in it. One thing I would do if I went sailboat is I'd go trimaran and not catamaran. But again, that's just a thought. I don't regret the boat. I'm very happy with the boat. Mm-hmm. I think the boat's fantastic. I love everything about it, and the more I read this book, Voyaging Under Power, I can understand why the 62 has such a good reputation for passage making, other than the experience that we have in actually doing it. The speed to length ratio, the design that went into the bulbous bow, the fact that it is the ultimate cruiser, really, and it hasn't. While it has a lower height in the engine room and perhaps the accommodation is not as luxurious as some of the newer boats, it hasn't compromised on the safety and the seaworthiness and the ride, which is, for me, the most important thing. Yeah. I remember looking at a different Nordhavn, and I won't name it, but Leslie liked it and thought the accommodation was fantastic until the sales guy mentioned that it wasn't as good a ride as the 62, and that was the end of the discussion, even for Leslie. Does the Nordhavn still
build a 62?
No, they broke the mold, probably to make room in the factory. The Nordhavn 62 stopped, I believe, in 2007-ish. And I think they built about 35 or 36 of them. I can't remember.
What age did you start cruising? Do we have to say?
Early 60s, let's say. We've had boats for several years, but this full-time cruising was early 60s. Yeah. No, they don't build the 62. I've noticed that except for long stretches, a lot of sailors use their engines a lot. Oh, you mean on sailboats? Yeah, I believe so. I think our friends on Sailing Orion use their engines as little as possible, but that's because Captain Dillon is a fanatic for sailing, and rightly so, and he's a great sailor too.
There's one sailing channel, if you watch them, he says he has a sailboat, but he says it has engines for a reason, and so he probably motors more than sails. Yeah, he's got the boat to get around the world, not sail around the world.
Yeah. Will you do a video tour of the entire boat someday? Yes, we have done a video tour of the entire boat previously. It's not something we'd probably do live. It was probably something we would do on video. Yeah. What a damn shame. What's a damn shame, Big Dave?
Have you already replaced these black tapestries on the ceiling? Oh. Yes, ceiling panels.
Headliners.
I assume that's what you mean. Yeah, headliners about the black tapestries. So the black ones were on the boat when we boarded, and they were new at the time. All the ones downstairs in the accommodations are white, and we had them done when we were in Rio Dulce, and they did a very, very nice job. Yeah, and they get hung on a lot of Nordhavns. I think a lot of boats have them, not only Nordhavns. It's a very common thing on boats. I find these ceiling panel, these headliners.
What's common about them? You mean
a lot of boats have them, not only Nordhavns.
Oh, headliners are on boats, yes.
Yeah.
We're talking about the color more, I think. But yeah. There's resistance from some people to having black in the pilot house, but quite frankly, I wouldn't have white. And I remember from my days in the Merchant Marine, we would paint black above the radars just to stop where the radar was, so that to stop the reflection. Yes, the damn shame that they don't build any more 62s. 100%. I'm sure they could have modified it a little bit and come up with a very much better boat.
Alexander says, obviously the 62 is one of the best designs, and it seems a lot better than the 63s with better cruising speed.
Yeah, I haven't been at sea in a 63. I have been on board one. It feels narrow. It doesn't have a bulbous bow. It's just another compromise. I mean, there are a lot of 63s out there, but there's also 4 of them on the market today. There's 4 62s on the market today, so it's hard to say. Yeah, it's a real shame they don't build the 62 anymore. And they've even brought out a new boat called a 625, which I think is criminal to use the name 62 and 62.5, which is like crazy. Unfortunately, Nordhavn seem to be pushing out boats like cookie cutters at the moment, rather than sticking to a few settled designs. But again, everybody
people have different needs.
No, people have different desires, wants, needs. There's needs, yeah. I would go for ocean comfort before the rest of it.
I agree with you about the black headliners. I had white ones on my 43, and we'll have black ones on the next boat. Yes.
62 and 50 seem to hold value better than most. Yeah, I guess so. And also they're a lot older, so a lot of the values, been depreciated. And the 46, let's not forget the 46 is a pretty special boat as well. And
they're very popular.
What I like about a lot of the guys who own 46s are very handy, do a lot of their own work, and they really update and modernize those boats on their own. I'm thinking of Chicory and what was the other
Legacy
one? Legacy, and a bunch of those boats. They're all great Nordhavn owners as well, and they've covered some miles as well.
Long-term Nordhavn owners.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Have we run out of what? Have we covered everything? Oh, yeah, we loaded our latest video up for those of you who like and subscribe. If you haven't, please like and subscribe. But yesterday I put up our latest video. It was mostly maintenance in Riviera Beach City Marina in West Palm Beach. In fact, it was all maintenance.
Alan Burrow signing out. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. See you next time. And that video went up yesterday, and then I'll start work now on the video of the passage from West Palm to Dry Tortugas, and then Dry Tortugas to down here. Ah, great. Thanks, Joe. You watched it yesterday. It was mostly me this time, because I was mostly the one doing the work, and Leslie was the one behind the camera. I didn't put in the video that I forgot to close the seacock when I was changing the impeller on the diesel generator.
He purposely left it out.
I left it out because the air got kind of blue with my language. Did you enjoy your stay in?
Yeah, enjoy your stay.
Oh, enjoy your stay. Yeah, thanks very much. So the next few days we're going to kind of be busy doing, running around, maybe go to the shops, catching up with friends, maybe doing some diving, I hope. Yeah, we'll put up the passage video pretty shortly, and then when we're getting ready to leave, we'll come back up, and we will be doing live videos on our passage from here to Panama. Okay.
So Alexander says the only thing about the 62 compared to the rest is the engine room size. The size isn't a problem, but it's the headroom. But if you look in the video, most of the work Frank is doing, he's sitting down. So, I mean, it would be nice to be able to stand, but we, have to defend our choices here.
If you had another foot of headroom, you would have compromised somewhere else.
Exactly.
So, and I'm not a small guy. I carry a few extra pounds. I'm 6 foot tall. I can get around that engine room into most places. It's a bit tight in the aft end, but it is what it is. I would take the rest of the design of the boat and the way it rides in the ocean, and just the overall design for seaworthiness and comfort. I would lose the foot of engine room space simply for that. Are you planning to cross and sail around Europe? Yeah, this is a discussion all the time. Currently, the plan is down to Panama, hang around in Panama, go through the canal, probably up to Alaska or just up to Sea of Cortez, and then cross the Pacific. However, there are two other 200 N62s talking about going over to
Mediterranean.
To the Mediterranean, or have a desire to go to Europe. And we could be persuaded perhaps to go as a trio of 62s.
It would be nice for us because Robert's in the army there.
Yeah, that would be nice in that way. But I'm not convinced yet that I want to go. I'd get to Europe eventually by going the other way around the world. It's called displacement. What's called displacement?
All the compromises, etc., and the engine room size.
Displacement.
An extra foot.
Yeah, the displacement of the boat is how much water it displaces in the ocean. But yeah, okay.
All right, everybody.
Hope you've enjoyed it.
Thanks
Half an hour.
Yeah.
We're off to grab some breakfast and put water in the forward tank. I meant extra weight. Yeah. Okay. Well, happy travels, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
hope you've
everybody.
all enjoyed it.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers. Bye. Watching a video of 3 sailing across was better than Avatar 3.
Thank you. It is better.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Watch the video where I had 362s in the Bahamas. It's like 2 videos back or 1 video back. There were 362s. I used the drone for that as well. Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.